Okay, cool. All right. So this is a residential client that sent us 3 pictures. And the very first thing I would ask him is, how did you hear about Alluring Glass? So the very first question, number one, is, hey, thanks for the call. How'd you hear about us? And Nick, for you, like, how do most customers hear about us?
Either contractor referral or they just look us up online.
Okay. All right. So the first is like setting the table as far as, hey, how'd you hear about us? Um, the second thing I asked them is, did you do this tile work yourself or did you hire somebody? What do you experience with your clients most of the time, Nick?
They typically have someone do it. I would say 1 out of every 10 they did it themselves.
Okay. So if they hired somebody, I say, hey, I try to keep, we have been in business for 14 years. We work with hundreds of tile installers. How did he do? It looks great. How did he do? And could you, if you don't mind me asking, what's his name? And then, does that make sense, Nick? I mean, I
Yeah.
would just, and see if I know the guy, if it's Mike Fairchild, I'm like, oh yeah, I know Mike. He's a buddy of mine. We followed his work for a lot of years. If somebody said, hey, why do you want his name? And I say, full transparency, we follow these guys. We want to know who's good, who has a good reputation, who does good work. And when we come into Laser Template, we're going to see, the quality of his work. So we'd like to know who they are. If it's a DIYer, then I acknowledge, gosh, that's quite an undertaking. I mean, that's really hard work. So I want to empathize with them very quickly of, gosh, that's hard. Now, this guy, I believe, is a surgeon, or he's in the medical field at least. So it's unlikely, Nick, that he did this himself. But a couple things that I'm going to be asking questions of. The first thing that I notice in here, let me pull this picture up. The first thing that I notice in here is there's no curb, so it's a barrier free. And so I'm going to point that out. I would say, hey, I noticed that you've got a barrier free application. I also notice up on this wall that it looks like there's a shower head outlet there. If you can see my cursor, looks like the controls are in the center, and it looks like there's maybe an outlet for a handheld, and I can obviously see a seat on that side. And so I would start asking the client, if it's this might be obvious, but I would ask the client, is this your master bath? This looks to be a master bath. Is this in fact a master bath? What I'm looking for, PJ, is I want to know who's using this space.
Mm-hmm.
I see it's a barrier free. Did you do the barrier free for just aesthetic reasons? Or is there somebody that, might be needing assistance? And then they'll tell you, I'm aging in place, or my wife's in a wheelchair, or my mom's in a wheelchair, or I just like the look. But I'm going to inquire about why they went with the barrier free. I'm going to inquire, this looks to be your master bath. If it's a second bath, then I'm going to ask for the age of and the people that use it. If you don't mind me asking, is this your master bath? No, it's a second bath. Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what's the age group of the people that will be using this? Are there small children that you might be concerned about the structural integrity more of them? Do you have boys that, might be destructive? I want to know who's using this space. With the depth of the shower, I'm not concerned about water escaping, but in smaller showers, I'd be asking the question about water management. What prompted this? By chance, did you get this remodeled because you had water damage? And so I'm going to say, what prompted this, remodel, if you don't mind me asking? Was this a master space that you're just opening up? Is this a space that was being rebuilt because you had water damage? I want to know. I want to probe a little bit of why they're doing this. And if it's a water damage issue, then I'm going to say, hey, we're going to explore like different options. Frameless applications look like aquariums. but they certainly don't function like one. So if you have massive water phobia, I see you've got tile outside the shower. So I personally wouldn't be concerned about water getting out there. Are you concerned about water getting out there? But again, with the depth of this, I'm not concerned about water getting out. The next question I would ask is, where do you see yourself entering the shower? So I see there's obviously a need for at least 3 pieces of glass. Where do you see the entry point being? And they may say, I see the entry right in the center. In which case, I would explore, the center's right here, PJ, this angle. The door will go inward and outward. You can push it in, you can pull it out. Would you want it hinged to the right side or the left side? And if they said the left side, I would say, well, that'll be convenient because, as you know, as you push the door in, you could actually step into the shower, turn the water on, hopefully without getting a burst of water in your face. If we put the door in the center, and I would have shower doors ready with clamps, that this panel is going to be responsible for the structure integrity of the door, which is we're going to require a header across the top. Oh, I hate headers. I want it to be frameless. Okay. Then we're going to use thicker glass here, and we're going to put clamps on it to provide structure integrity, which again, I would have that queued up or pre-drawn before I met with them. In this right panel, you would not need clamps for structure integrity. However, for symmetry, a lot of people would add clamps. So again, I want to gain entry points, and I'm going to start to talk to them about what the shower is going to look like. I'm going to go back to this picture for a second. This picture leads me to believe they've got a vaulted ceiling. If you can see the pitch of that. If they said, PJ, could we hinge the door on this wall? You could say yes. However, let me ask you a question. Does this wall tie into the ceiling? I can't see the top of it. Sometimes with vaulted ceilings, PJ, the wall will go up to 9 feet. And because it's not tied into the ceiling, it'll flex a lot. So if we hang a door on there and that wall is not tied into the ceiling, the likelihood of that door flexing is substantial. Does that mean it's going to fall down, homeowner? No, it's not going to fall down, but you're probably going to need us to come back to at least make 1 adjustment. Unlikely that you would need 2, but you could. And so we might recommend putting a header on there. And again, I know it's not aesthetically what you want, but from a structural integrity standpoint, if we hinge the door on that far left side, having a header would reduce the likelihood of adjustments being made later.
Gotcha.
On the right wall, it looks, as you can see, the tile goes higher. So if they wanted to hinge it on that right wall, I have very good confidence that that wall probably ties into the ceiling, but I would ask. I like to comment.
We probably want to recommend if we hung it in addition to what you just said, that's where the shower heads will be pointing. So we wouldn't really want to recommend it there for water management.
What do you mean? Hey, do not hinge it on the far right wall or left wall?
The far left wall, the shower head's pointing right at it.
Yeah, I would ask what kind of shower head they have. Do you have a rain shower head? What's your water pressure like? That's a good point. And again, your job as an advisor is to provide advice, right? So, hey, one of my concerns of hinging on that left wall is that shower head could be pointed right to the door, which is the most vulnerable spot for water escaping. Do you have a shower head that's a rain shower head, or like a propulsion shower head? And what's your water pressure like? So, and then with the wand, and again, have the conversation with the wand. I don't know if the cord will reach the glass. A lot of times people like you use the wand to clean the glass, but realize there's going to be gaps, right, on the hinge side and the strike side. The strike is where the door and the stationary panel meet. There's going to be somewhere around 1/4 inch gap. And so if you put that wand right on there, water's going to blow right out.
Mhm.
So the seat in there is really nice. I like to comment on the decorative elements, that herringbone or whatever you call it, inside the shower, the amount of extra work that took, and yet, gosh, what a nice space. Love the neutral tones. I love the fact that the floor matches that niche, and that niche is big enough, and I comment about myself. I'm a bald guy, so I take a bar of soap in the shower, but my wife has 6 or 7 bottles. So, and again, as many times as I can bring my wife, especially when I'm talking to women, as many times as I can bring my wife and I into the conversation, my experience is it disarms the woman, right? That she doesn't have to worry about me flirting with her or whatever, or
Mhm.
talking about weird shit while she's in the shower. And sometimes clients will say, yeah, my husband and I like to get shower together. Oh, great. So anyway, so I love the mosaic. I mean, you just, right, you kind of move through that, but for you to kind of set this, especially when they talk about intimate things like that, then I make sure, I say, hey, my wife and I in our shower, we have a couple niches because, while it's in the other thing, another thing is I always, when I'm talking to the wife, I also always acknowledge that it's her space. That, my wife lends the shower to me 90 to 120 seconds a day. This is clearly her space. So, while I care about your husband's opinion, Mrs. Smith, in my house, my experience is that my wife pitters in and out of the space. It's her safe zone. It's her oasis. This is the space that she can get away from the kids and get away from me, and nobody bothers her. And so I'm trying to align myself with the woman without her feeling like I'm flirting with her. And the way that I prevent her from thinking I'm flirting about her is I talk about my wife throughout the conversation. All right. And then I'm looking at the drains right in the center. We're seeing linear drains that you'll see in gymnasiums and clubs, whatever. This is obviously just a traditional. I might ask if there's a niche or anything on this far left wall. What else? Anything else I'm missing here, Nick?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at the sizes on the bottom. I don't that we were talking about the left wall before, but that left wall doesn't look like it's even 28 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, I would surmise that's, that length is probably in the maybe 20 inches. This might be in the 33 to 36, and then that return way over here might be in the 30 to 36 range again. If the client said, what about a steam unit taken to the ceiling? I can't see. Well, we do know the ceiling, actually, don't we? We know it's a vaulted ceiling, so it can't be a steam unit, and it's drywalled. The other, when you're looking at the ceiling and somebody wants a steam unit, you're going to have water problems. You're going to have moisture, mold problems. So ventilation is really important. It's unlikely if the door's here in the center, it's going to get wet. But one of the nice things that you could do is obviously with the door swinging both ways is pull the door inward and just leave it there, which is what I do in my house. My wife and I pull the shower in, let it drip off, and it lets the steam escape. I don't know what color the fixtures are, so I would ask. I can't see, and with the mirror, I can't tell what the colors of the room is, so I might ask. If when somebody says, well, we're a bronze, I ask them, like, what does that look like? Is it bronzy or is it more like a dull black, almost like a matte black, just to manage expectations? Anything else on the shower, Nick?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't see a toilet or anything in the way.
Yep. No, and even if there is, it looks like there's enough space. If the commodes, actually, this is probably a commode room back there or a walk-in closet. And I love the elongated tile. I love the large format tile. I think that's super cool. And I love the contrast with the floor. So anytime you can point those things out, they just spent a shit ton of money on this. If you can point it out and say, gosh, I really love the colors. I really find something you love, right? If you hate it, don't say I love it, right? But find something that you love. All right. So then on the mirror, one of the first things that comes to mind is what's behind this. Like if there's a mirror there, what's behind me, right? Is it the commode? Is it the shower? What's behind me? The shower is probably to the right, PJ. But when you look at a mirror, one of the things that is the mirror's reflecting something. What's it reflecting behind me? And they've already pre-cut out the sconces, so it's unlikely they're going to do anything but a full-length mirror. But I think it's good to be inquisitive to say, hey, mirrors reflect, what's behind this space? Just so we get an idea of what the mirror is going to be reflecting. And then to the left over here, obviously you've got a lot of natural daylight. Looking at the countertops, do you envision this mirror sitting right on top of the backsplash or on top of the countertop? Do you have a backsplash? Are you building a backsplash? We would want that backsplash PJ installed before we come to template, right? That backsplash would need to be installed before we come template, and then we can template to have the mirror put literally right. It could literally sit right on top of the backsplash. If they're not doing a backsplash, the mirror can sit on top of the counter. However, you are more likely to water getting back there, and over the course of 5 to 10 years, what eats away the silvering on the back of the mirror is the chemicals in your water. Yes, the same water you drink, which is disturbing, has acidic nature to it, and it'll eat the backing of your mirror. So imagine what that does to your belly, PJ. Anyway, all right. The light fixtures, what are your expectations here? Are we going to have the mirrors cut, obviously with this diameter, for the mirror to be installed, and then you're going to have the electrician come back? And I would clarify that multiple times in writing. We're going to install the mirror, and then your electrician is going to come back to install the electric. Just make sure I hear you correctly. You're going to have the electrician come back to install the electric. We'll install the mirror. That's preferred. If they say, hey, will your guys do it? And, I don't know what your protocol is. I would typically say our guys will do it. Will you have the light fixtures there? And I'll make sure that I send a team that has experience with hanging the light fixtures.
I typically say no, only because I've shocked myself doing it, and I wouldn't recommend us sending our guys in the case that if they did get a serious injury, I don't know what insurance would cover them.
Yep. Well, and just so you know my stance, I would go to Bailey and Eric and Bradley and now Noah, and I would say, which of you guys have experience hanging lights and who needs experience? And we need somebody on our staff that is not an electrician, but they can hang the lights. So I don't disagree with what I probably sound like I'm contradicting you, Nick. I'm not trying to contradict. I'm saying we have to have somebody on our team that can hang light fixtures, because you'll have contractors will typically do it and they'll have electricians, but homeowners won't. So we need somebody that can do it successfully.
Noah used to, so we're
What's
gonna have Noah used to do it. So if we're gonna have somebody do it, it'd probably be Noah.
That's a good point. Yeah. So if we need to get them training or practice, let's do it. So let's make sure we have a team, and maybe we charge more for that, Nick.
Yeah, just
Good.
as like I agree with that we should charge. We don't have to touch on this now because I know it's not the point, but like liability issues. So say like something shorts out.
Yep.
How do we attack
Yep.
that? Because it's stuff that's kind of out of our control.
Yep. I mean, we have insurance for, all those, anything that happens that we had to go back and we caused some kind of problem, we do have insurance for. So we do have coverage. I would also talk about your expectations around fit and finish. Like, this is a recessed mirror, right? So you can see on the left, there's a wall on the left, right, that comes at 90 degree, and there's a wall on the right that comes at 90 degree. So what are your expectations as far as the tolerance or gap that you'd see around there, right? And so I would put this in writing, and I would make sure that when I want to emphasize a point, PJ, I change my cadence to slow down to make my point without sounding condescending. Mrs. Smith, I just want to make sure that we're clear. Do you see how the wall comes into the left and the right at a 90 degree? Yes. I got to recess a mirror back there. So I got two guys with suction cups. That mirror is really expensive, and I need some play. I need some play on the right. I need some play on the left, and I need some play at the top. And so typically we're going to have play of around 1/4 of an inch or whatever that number is, Nick. But I would put it in writing, and I would change my cadence, and I would say, we're going to have about a quarter of an inch of play between the wall and the mirror. So if there's painting that needs to be done before we install the mirror, that's a whole nother caveat, right? With mastic, you don't want the mirror, you don't want mastic installed on, you don't want the mastic installed on a mirror of freshly painted, like slick paint, because the mastic doesn't cure well to it. So what we would have to do is we'd have to take sandpaper, right? Put globs of mirror on the back of the mirror, sandpaper the wall, right? And then adhere the mirror mastic to the sandpapered part of the wall. Many people will wait to paint, touch-up paint after the mirror. And I would say you're going to have a quarter-inch gap on the right, the top, and the side that's going to need touch-up paint. So mention that they're going to need touch-up paint. And again, if it's an old lady and she's like, will you do it? I'll save some paint. You know, you choose. I would say, yes, we'll pay. We'll have Noah, if you have the paint and the brush, we'll touch up the paint after we install it. But anyway, but my point is, as difficult as it is for me to talk about that, is talk about it now, right? Just to manage expectations. And then the other thing is, that's looking vertically, Nick, 48 inches tall by width of 10 feet. I don't know. Can we get that mirror in that space? Like, is this on the second floor? Like, do we have a clear shot walking into your house to the bathroom, or do we have to go around a corner, or is this an upstairs? And can you send us a picture of the stairs? I don't know that I can get a mirror that big up into this space. You know, this is in Newport, Kentucky, on the third floor of a row house, my house. Be like, it ain't going up 3 flights.
Yeah.
So the way that we would do it is we'd probably do, more than likely, in this case with 4 sconces, more than likely 2 mirrors. I don't think you could do 3, that it would look very good, or change the lighting structure, right? Do 3 mirrors or 3 sconces. Make sense? All right. Don't install the plumbing before we install the mirror, right? So there's no countertop here. We need the countertop installed and the backsplash installed before we template for the mirror. But don't install the fixtures, right? Or the what do you call those things? Yeah. Don't install the fixtures so we can get the mirror in. Have the fixtures installed, if at all possible, after we install the mirror. If they have to have the fixtures installed before the mirror, ask for a picture of the fixtures to see how, like now you got to take the mirror, Nick, up, you guys know, up and over your head and slide it back. That's a tough freaking install. That's a tough install. So these are all things to put in writing. And like I said, I slow my cadence down when I want to make a point. Mrs. Smith, just to make sure, I know I'm rushing through a bunch of things, just to make sure you hear me, the backsplash needs to be installed before we template. You know, I just slow your cadence down. All the points of emphasis, slow your cadence down and make sure, hey, I'm going to send you a follow-up email in writing. I'm taking notes of all this. I'm going to put a note on there that the backsplash needs to be installed, that you may need some touch-up paint on the right side, the top, and the left side. That this size mirror can get up and around those steps. You're going to send me a picture of the steps, etc. What am I missing? Nick, anything?
I mean, so the vanity's not centered, so that mirror is going to be off centered.
Ooh, I can't see that because your picture's in the way. Okay, so what? Yeah, great. Thank you. Good job. What's on the left? What's that gap over there? Are you going to have the mirror stop short? Which that would help for install, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So if that mirror is going to stop right there, good catch. If that mirror is going to stop right there, then this whole wall will be exposed, which is great. That's a much easier install now. Now we could get it more snug, couldn't we? On the right, maybe not the top, but we could get it more snug on the right.
Yeah, we pushed all the way in the wall, very likely.
That's good. Good catch.
Then there's gonna be, like for the installers wise, there'll be a outlet over here.
On the
Like
far
maybe
right.
check,
navigate.
yeah, maybe check if they're gonna hang some towel rings or towel bars
Yep,
for the sink.
yep, make sure, yep, that's good. Good. Anything else?
I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I would almost wonder, Nick, if they're gonna put a tower right here in the center, but this sconce
Yeah.
looks so close to the center. Like in our bathroom, we got our big tower here for
Yes.
storage. Which again, if there's a tower here, this mirror is gonna be a bitch to put in there. It's gonna be tough. But if
Yeah,
there's
I
no
guess I'm
tower,
looking at, I guess, yeah, that's a good, actually a good point. They're likely, there probably will be a tower there. It's usually when they're recessed like that, that's what they go for.
yeah. Yeah. So then I would be concerned, I'd shoot a laser here and see how close that mirror is to that sconce. Sorry, how close the sconce is to the tower, because that sconce might need to be moved over here more center, PJ.
Yeah, I think all the cabinets might actually be moved over to the left a little bit because there's a big gap on the left side of where the sconce and the tower would be.
Maybe. Yep, maybe. In which case, again, that mirror is going to overhang the counter then, because look at this sconce. Yeah, this is tough. This is going to be a tough. This will be interesting to see how this really plays out. Because if this cabinet goes left, that sconce is going to be over the outside of the mirror. That's weird. So, I mean, if you think of, and it's not going to match this side, which again, you got to be careful because the contractor might still be there and be like, hey, this, I'm looking at symmetry here. It could be an optical illusion, Mrs. Smith. I'm seeing symmetry differences between the right and the left side.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have the mirrors cut the way you want, but anyway. All right. Anything else for now?
I don't think so. Nah.
All right. So if I'm talking to a contractor, PJ, I might be asking about the client and how discerning they are, right? So we use the word discerning instead of like, are they a pain in the ass? Are they really detail oriented? What's their expectation for tolerances? If you help me understand the homeowner, what is their expectation for tolerance? Like Crapsey and Gillis's tolerance is unbelievable. They would expect it to be literally cut that mirror as many times as you need to get it snug against, like, I want to see less than a 1/16 of an inch. Well, we shoot for a 1/4 inch. Well, Mrs. Smith wants a 1/16 of an inch. Okay. Well, just to manage your expectations, to fabricate that, using construction material, which is what we use, mirrors and glass are construction material, it might take us, 2 fabrications to get it within a 1/16 of an inch. If that's what you want, we can do it. But it could cost twice as much for that mirror. So if I don't understand, if I don't ask the question, what's this client like to work with? Am I on speakerphone right now? What are their expectations as far as tolerances? Give me some idea of what they expect for a fit and finish. They high maintenance, highly discerning, highly picky. That's what we want to know. We want to know beforehand. What are we going into?
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. All right. I've got a list of those questions. So, and I'll go through it really quick and shoot you guys an email. But I think the highlight intro points are: how'd you hear about us? Did you hire somebody? Who was it? DIY? Wow, you did a really great job. That's hard. Is it a master bath? Who's going to be using this space? What prompted this install, this remodel? Did you have water management issues? Where's the entry point? This is her space. Align yourself with her. And then any of the subtleties or nuances, touch up paint, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Good stuff. I got to run.
All right.
Thanks, guys. I'll share this with you momentarily.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Guys, appreciate you.